Go! Kid, go! Get in the car! Get down! On your eyes, far past the gate.
Front gate. Up ahead, make a left. What bed?
You fucking... Move! Stay on my shoulder, all right? Come on! Come on!
You hit him with the truck.
Yep. Hold on. Okay. On it. Here, go, 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 go. All right, get in. Blood of 100 men on your hands. Come on, stay down. You get him to the other side. Very much. Come on.
जो बोल रहा है कर दे।
Hey guys, today we're diving headfirst into the adrenaline-fueled, bone-crunching world of Extraction, the 2020 Netflix hit that proved Chris Hemsworth can do more than just wield a hammer. This isn't your grandma's action movie. It's a non-stop, gritty ride through the underbelly of the international black market, with enough explosions and close-quarter combat to make your popcorn jump out of the bowl. We're talking about a mercenary, a kidnapped kid, and a whole lot of very unhappy people with very big guns. Get ready, because it's a wild one. If you like this sneak peek, hit the like button and subscribe. It's the best way to support the channel and let me know you want more. So, we rewind a bit and find ourselves in Mumbai, where a young man named Ovi Mahajan Jr. is living it up, or rather, trying to live it up. His dad, a major crime boss, is currently doing time, which leaves Ovi Jr. feeling a bit exposed. He's out at a club, doing typical rich kid trying to prove himself stuff, which, as we all know, usually ends in tears or, in this case, abduction. His friends ditch him after a drug deal goes south, and bam, he's snatched right out of a bathroom stall by a menacing group of guys working for Amir Asif, a rival Bangladeshi drug lord who clearly believes in aggressive corporate takeovers. The whole scene has this unsettling quiet efficiency, a sharp contrast to the pulsating club music, as Ovi is bundled away. It's clear from the get-go that this isn't some amateur art snatch and grab. These guys mean business, and young Ovi is way out of his depth. The tension ratchets up immediately, setting the stage for what's to come, as his life gets turned upside down in a flash. Meanwhile, far from the neon glow of Mumbai, we meet our main man, Tyler Rake. He's introduced to us in a way that screams, "I'm intense and possibly emotionally damaged, but incredibly good at my job." We first see him contemplating a massive cliff dive, then taking the plunge with a grace that almost makes you forget the sheer drop. He spends an unnaturally long time meditating underwater, a sort of baptism, or perhaps just an extremely cool way to clear his head after whatever mercenaries do in their downtime. This isn't just a leisure activity. It's a glimpse into his psyche. The silence under the water, the way he holds his breath for ages, it tells us he's someone who lives on the edge, pushing boundaries, maybe even seeking an escape from his own thoughts. It's a beautifully shot, almost meditative sequence that stands in stark contrast to the chaos we just witnessed, highlighting the calm before the inevitable storm. Back on dry land, Tyler's contacted by his formidable partner, Nick Khan, and her team. They lay out the grim details. Ovi Jr. has been snatched by Amir Asif's goons in Dhaka, Bangladesh, a city that's not exactly known for its friendly demeanor towards outsiders, especially those trying to snatch back a valuable asset. Ovi's imprisoned father is desperate and offering a whopping sum, enough to make even a stone-cold mercenary raise an eyebrow. This isn't just a job. It's a high-stakes, nearly impossible rescue mission deep behind enemy lines. Nick goes over the intelligence, showing photos, explaining the layout, the whole 9 yards. You can feel the weight of the operation, the sheer complexity of extracting someone from such a heavily fortified and corrupt environment. The team, all seasoned professionals, dissect the risks, but Tyler, with his characteristic stoicism, just takes it all in. You can almost hear the gears turning in his head, already planning every contingency. This isn't a task for the faint of heart, and they know it. Tyler wastes no time. He makes his way to Dhaka, a sprawling, chaotic metropolis that feels like it's actively trying to keep secrets. This isn't some pristine, sanitized environment. It's gritty, real, and dangerous. He blends in, shedding his tactical gear for more inconspicuous local clothing, like a chameleon disappearing into the urban jungle. The air is thick with humidity and the constant hum of life, a stark contrast to the silence of his underwater meditations. He moves with purpose, a phantom in the crowded streets, gathering intel, observing patterns. Every street vendor, every passing vehicle, every shadowed alley could be a trap or a lead. This part of the mission is less about brute force and more about silent observation and strategic planning, something Tyler excels at. He's not just a fighter. He's a predator, patiently stalking his prey, or in this case, his rescue target, through a city that feels like it's holding its breath the moment of truth arrives. Tyler, after his meticulous reconnaissance, makes his move on the compound where Ovi is being held. This isn't a stealth mission anymore. It's a full frontal assault. The crack of gunfire, the thud of bodies, the clang of metal against metal, it's a symphony of violence. Tyler is an absolute force of nature, a one-man army carving a path through Asif's heavily armed men. He moves with a brutal efficiency, using everything at his disposal: guns, knives, his bare hands, even environmental objects, turning the compound into his personal playground of pain. The choreography here is incredible, a masterclass in realistic, visceral action. You can almost feel the impact of every punch, hear the desperate cries of the guards. He's not just fighting, he's dominating a whirlwind of controlled chaos, driven by the singular goal of getting to Ovi. When he finally bursts into the room where Ovi is, the kid is terrified, a deer in headlights, suddenly confronted by his brutal rescuer. Now with Ovi, who's basically a walking bundle of fear and confusion. Tyler has to get them both out of the hot zone. The escape is even more intense than the infiltration. Bullets was passed, concrete explodes, and Tyler is constantly pushing Ovi, shielding him, dragging him, essentially forcing him to keep moving through the pandemonium. Ovi is, understandably, completely overwhelmed, probably thinking he's gone from one nightmare to another. Tyler, however, remains laser-focused. His movements are sharp, economical. Every action has a purpose. The sheer volume of incoming fire is deafening, forcing them to duck, weave, and sprint through narrow corridors and open spaces. It's a desperate dash, with the constant threat of being cut down at any second. This isn't just about protecting his target. It's about survival for both of them, and Tyler's unwavering determination is palpable through the relentless assault. The sound design really sells the chaos, every ricochet and distant shout adding to the urgency. Just when you think they might catch a break, the plot thickens faster than a milkshake in a freezer. Enter Sayu, Ovi's father's head of security. Turns out Ovi's dad, being a super rich crime lord and all, figured he'd try to double-cross everyone by sending Sayu to snatch Ovi back without paying a dime. So Sayu ambushes Tyler and Ovi, leading to an absolutely brutal, no-holds-barred fistfight in a grimy alleyway. The sounds of impact are bone-jarring. Every punch, every grunt, every block feels real. These aren't fancy martial arts moves. It's raw, desperate, street-level combat. Tyler and Sayu are evenly matched, to absolute professionals clashing, each trying to fulfill their mission. It's a shocking twist, as we learn that Sayu isn't just a random bad guy. He's got his own desperate reasons for being there, including the safety of his own family, making his motivations tragically understandable. The fight is relentless, a whirlwind of powerful blows and tactical maneuvers. Setting the stage for a complex dynamic between these two skilled operatives, the alley brawl quickly spills onto a bridge. Just as Amir Asif's forces arrive to reclaim their asset, Ovi, what follows is an absolutely insane, extended chase and shootout that makes most action sequences look like a gentle stroll in the park. Tyler, Ovi, and Sayu are suddenly caught in a three-way firefight, with bullets flying from every direction, cars exploding, and civilians scattering in terror. The sounds are deafening, constant gunfire, screeching tires, the metallic crunch of colliding vehicles, and the screams of the innocent. It's pure, unadulterated chaos. Tyler, with Sayu as a reluctant, temporary ally, has to think on his feet, using every bit of cover available, maneuvering Ovi through the carnage. They're jumping from vehicle to vehicle, dodging explosions. It's a masterclass in action choreography, filmed to look like one continuous, breathless take. You can almost feel the burning asphalt and the vibration of explosions through the screen. This sequence is a highlight of the film, showcasing the relentless danger and Tyler's incredible resilience. This is it, folks, the crown jewel of action sequences, the famous one-take chase that sent jaws dropping. Starting on that bridge, the camera seems to effortlessly weave through the chaos, following Tyler, Ovi, and Sayu as they transition from a high-speed car chase to an even more intense foot pursuit. They crash, they tumble, they sprint through densely packed markets, across rooftops, and down precarious stairwells. The fluidity of the camera work is astonishing. It's like a ballet of brutality. You're right there with them, feeling the rush of wind as they speed past, the jolt of impact as they smash through obstacles, and the sheer exhaustion as they relentlessly push forward. Tyler's resourcefulness shines here, using every nook and cranny of the city to his advantage, always shielding Ovi. Even while locked in brutal hand-to-hand combat with a seemingly endless stream of Asif's goons. The sounds are a symphony of desperation, heavy breathing, the clang of metal, the thud of bodies, the distant shouts, all wrapped up in a visceral, unforgettable experience that puts you directly in the thick of the action. It's a truly masterful piece of filmmaking. After that exhausting, heart-pounding chase, Ovi, in a moment of sheer panic and bad luck, gets separated from Tyler. This isn't just a physical separation. It's a moment of utter despair for the kid, suddenly alone again in a hostile city. And just to rub salt in the wound, He's not recaptured by burly, armed men, but by a group of street-hardened kids. Yeah, you heard that right. These kids, indoctrinated by Asif, betray Ovi for a bounty, proving that in this city, corruption seeps into every corner, even touching the youngest and most vulnerable. The scene is heartbreaking, showing Ovi's fleeting hope dissolve into fear as he realizes he's traded one captor for another, albeit smaller, more menacing ones. Tyler, meanwhile, is scrambling, trying to locate him, realizing the colossal mistake of letting him out of his sight. The despair and urgency are palpable, a gut punch after the relentless action, as the stakes for Ovi just got even higher. It's a chilling reminder that there's no safe haven in this world. Tyler isn't one to give up easily, especially when he's got a job to finish. Driven by a mix of professional obligation and, perhaps, a nascent sense of responsibility, he tracks Ovi to the squalid hideout of the child gang. The scene is grim, emphasizing the harsh realities of life in this city. What follows is another brutal, efficient display of Tyler's combat prowess. He dispatches the older, more dangerous figures guarding Ovi with a chilling precision, using both firearms and devastating hand-to-hand techniques. The crack of bone, the muffled cries, it's all part of the grim dance of survival. There's a moment, after the immediate threat is neutralized, where he gently checks on a bound and gagged Ovi, a flicker of something beyond mere professionalism in his eyes. It's a subtle but powerful humanizing beat for Tyler, hinting at the buried empathy beneath his hardened exterior. He's a killer, yes, but not without a conscience, especially when it comes to a kid who's clearly been through too much. He secures Ovi and they're back on the run, the clock ticking relentlessly. Finally, a brief moment of respite. Tyler takes Ovi to a temporary safe house, a quiet apartment that feels miles away from the chaos outside. It's a chance for them both to catch their breath, and for the audience to finally see Tyler as more than just a walking weapon. In a poignant, understated conversation, Tyler reveals the source of his profound melancholy, the tragic death of his own young son from cancer, a loss he couldn't be there for. The silence in the room is heavy, filled with unspoken grief. He talks about how he fled, unable to cope with the pain, essentially abandoning his dying child. This revelation cuts deep, explaining his recklessness, his self-destructive tendencies, and his almost suicidal disregard for his own life. It creates a powerful, unexpected bond with Ovi, who also carries the weight of a complicated, dangerous father figure. It's a quiet, raw moment that humanizes Tyler, making him more than just a stoic action hero. The shared trauma, the quiet vulnerability, is a stark contrast to the explosions and gunfire, offering a rare glimpse into the hearts of these two broken characters, of course. Because nothing good lasts in this movie, the moment of peace is brutally shattered. Enter Gasper, an old friend of Tyler's, conveniently living in Dhaka. He offers them shelter, food, and a chance to truly relax. But as with everything in this world, there's a catch. Gasper, it turns out, is also swayed by Amir Aziz's massive bounty on Ovi. He reveals his treachery by holding a knife to Ovi's throat, a cold, calculated move that stings Tyler deeply. What follows is a shockingly intense, close-quarters fight in the apartment. This isn't just about survival. It's a fight born of betrayal. The sounds are sharp, immediate, the clash of knives, the grunts of exertion, the sickening thuds of bodies against furniture and walls. Tyler, now fighting a man he once trusted, has to contend with his emotional wounds as much as the physical threat. Gasper, a former operative himself, is formidable, and the fight is a desperate struggle for dominance in a confined space. It's a gut-wrenching scene, highlighting that even in this world of mercenaries, trust is a luxury few can afford, and betrayal hits harder than any bullet. Tyler, with grim determination, finally manages to get the upper hand on Gasper, ending his former friend's life in a brutal, necessary act of self-preservation. There's no time for grief or introspection. Azif's men are closing in, alerted by the commotion. Tyler and Ovi make their desperate escape through the grimy, claustrophobic sewers of Dhaka. This sequence is a masterclass in tension, combining the physical discomfort of the environment with the psychological pressure of being hunted. The stench, the darkness, the narrow passages, you can almost feel the damp, oppressive air. The sounds are muffled, echoing, creating an eerie, unsettling atmosphere. Tyler moves cautiously, every splash, every distant sound, a potential threat. Ovi, still reeling from the betrayal and the endless trauma, is clearly struggling, but Tyler's unwavering resolve keeps them pushing forward. It's a crawl through the literal underbelly of the city, a desperate bid for freedom, with danger lurking in every shadow and every hidden corner. This isn't just an escape. It's a symbolic journey through the filth and despair of their current reality. Just when things seem utterly hopeless, a beacon of light appears, albeit a very lethal one. Nick Khan and her expert team finally arrive in Dhaka. A welcome sight for Tyler and a massive problem for Asif. They set up their sniper positions on various rooftops, establishing a tactical overwatch that feels like a protective canopy over Tyler and Ovi. The scene shifts to show their professional setup, the focused eyes through sniper scopes, the precise communication, the almost surgical efficiency of their preparations. This isn't just about firepower. It's about strategic support, giving Tyler a fighting chance against overwhelming odds. The sound of their radio chatter, crisp and clear, contrasts sharply with the cacophony of the city below. It's a moment of relief, as we see that Tyler isn't entirely alone in this fight. He has backup, and they are absolutely top tier. The plan for extraction is laid out. Back to the bridge, a chaotic, dangerous, but strategically necessary crossing point. The moment of truth arrives as Tyler and Ovi reach the border bridge, the designated extraction point. But Asif isn't just going to wave them goodbye. This bridge transforms into a war zone, a grand, violent spectacle of an ambush. It's an all-out assault, a torrent of Azov's forces descending upon them. Suddenly, in a surprising turn of events, Sayu, having had a change of heart and realizing the gravity of the situation and perhaps Tyler's unwavering commitment to Ovi, reappears. This time, he's not an antagonist. He's an ally, fighting alongside Tyler with a ferocity that matches Rake's own. The two hardened warriors, once enemies, now form an unstoppable duo, clearing a path through the unending wave of enemies. The sounds are incredible, the thunderous roar of automatic gunfire, the sharp crack of sniper rifles from Nick's team, the shattering of glass, and the guttural shouts of men in combat. It's a desperate, exhilarating fight, a testament to their combined skill against overwhelming odds, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Every punch, every bullet, every tactical maneuver feels incredibly high impact and real. Amidst the deafening clamor and relentless gunfire, a tragic moment unfolds that solidifies Sayu's redemption. In his selfless act of heroism, he spots a sniper lining up a shot on Ovi. Without a moment's hesitation, Sayu pushes Ovi out of the way, taking the bullet himself. The impact is brutal, a sudden, sickening thud that silences the surrounding chaos for a split second, only in our minds. His sacrifice is a gut-wrenching moment, a quiet nobility in the midst of pure pandemonium. His death, however, isn't in vain. It galvanizes Tyler, pushing him past his limits. The rage and sorrow in Tyler's eyes are palpable, a renewed fury that fuels his every move. He continues the fight with a vengeance, now not just fulfilling a contract, but honoring a fallen comrade and protecting Ovi with an almost paternal zeal. The sounds of combat intensify. Each shot fired by Tyler now carries the weight of Sayu's sacrifice, propelling him forward in a desperate sprint towards the ultimate goal, Ovi's safety. The emotional stakes have never been higher. The bridge is a carnage of vehicles and bodies, but Tyler and Ovi are almost there, almost to the extraction point. But Asif isn't giving up. Just as they're about to make it, Tyler is hit multiple times, each shot a dull thud against his body. He's bleeding profusely, his movements becoming sluggish, but his resolve never wavers. In his final, most heroic act, he shields Ovi from the last wave of attackers, creating a window for Nick and her team to get Ovi safely across. It's a moment of profound selflessness, a stark contrast to the mercenary we met earlier. He's not just a hired gun anymore. He's a protector, a redeemer. As the last of Azov's men approach, Tyler, severely weakened, is shot one final time. You can hear the desperate gasp, the faint splash as he tumbles backward, off the bridge and into the dark river below. The silence that follows this fall is deafening, a poignant end to a warrior's journey. Ovi, now safe but traumatized, watches his savior disappear beneath the murky waters. It's a classic heroic sacrifice, a brutal but fitting end for a man who spent the film running towards danger. Months later, the dust has settled and Ovi Mahajan Jr. is back in Mumbai. Safe and sound, he's clearly still haunted by the ordeal, but he's making an effort to move forward. We see him at school trying to regain some normalcy, though the shadow of his experience still lingers in his eyes. He takes a dive into a swimming pool, a moment of reflection, perhaps even a symbolic cleansing. As he surfaces, he spots a blurry figure on the edge of the pool. It's a mysterious, enigmatic shot, leaving us wondering, is it Tyler Rake? Did he survive that impossible fall? The film leaves us with this tantalizing ambiguity, a glimmer of hope that our hero, against all odds, might have cheated death one last time. It's a thoughtful and inspiring ending, reminding us that even in the darkest corners of human experience, resilience can flourish. And the impact we have on others can transcend the most brutal circumstances. It suggests that perhaps a life of sacrifice isn't always an ending, but sometimes a new beginning for someone else. And who knows, maybe our man Tyler finally found the peace he was searching for, whether in a watery grave or a new, quieter existence. It's a powerful thought to leave us with, a testament to the enduring human spirit amidst unimaginable hardship. Today we're diving headfirst into the action-packed, bone-crunching world of Extraction, a movie that pretty much defined edge of your seat for a lot of us back in 2020. We kick things off with our main man, Tyler Rake, played by the perpetually ripped Chris Hemsworth. Looking like he's just gone 10 rounds with a particularly grumpy rhino and lost. He's perched on a bridge, bleeding out, giving us that classic "how did I get here" vibe. It's a proper cold open that immediately tells you this isn't going to be a walk in the park. The sheer weight of his injuries is palpable, and you can practically hear his bones protesting. This whole setup just screams things went sideways, fast, if you had a good time with this. A like and a subscribe is a free way to help me keep making more. Alright, so while Tyler is busy contemplating his life choices, we jump back in time a bit to Mumbai. We meet Ovi Mahajan Jr., who's trying to have a good time at a club, probably thinking about normal teenager stuff, like will this DJ ever play anything decent? But his evening takes a hard left turn when some menacing dudes crash his party. They grab him, no pleasantries exchanged, and yank him into a van. It's a swift, brutal kidnapping that establishes the stakes immediately. No subtle cloak and dagger stuff here, just pure, unadulterated snatch and grab. You can almost feel the chill of the night air as they peel away, leaving Ovi's friends bewildered and terrified. Cut to a high-security prison where Ovi Mahajan Sr., a major drug lord who's currently enjoying the hospitality of the state, gets the news. His son has been taken. The guy's clearly not thrilled, which is an understatement. He's a man of immense power, even behind bars, and he immediately knows who's pulling the strings. His rival, Amir Asif, another crime lord based in Bangladesh. The tension crackles through the phone line as he barks orders, making it clear that no expense is to be spared to get his son back. This isn't just about a father's love. It's about a declaration of war in the criminal underworld. The silence in the prison corridor after his outburst is deafening. Now we properly meet Tyler Rake. Far away from any major cities, living a life that screams, "I'm trying to outrun my demons." But they're surprisingly fast. He's in Thailand, somewhere beautiful but desolate, looking like he's auditioning for a role as a very angry fish. He emerges from the water, all muscles and simmering intensity, training with a focus that suggests he's either preparing for the apocalypse or just really enjoys punching things. There's a quiet desperation about him, a haunted quality in his eyes that tells you his past isn't just behind him, it's breathing down his neck. He's the kind of guy who communicates more with a grunt and a stare than with actual words, which, let's be honest, is peak mercenary. The only sounds are the lapping waves and his heavy breaths. Tyler's handler, Nick Khan, who's as sharp as a tack and doesn't mince words, gives him the lowdown. Ovi Mahajan Jr. has been snatched and is being held in Dhaka, Bangladesh, a city that's basically a maze of humanity and narrow alleyways. Controlled by the very unpleasant Amir Asif, Nick lays out the plan, or rather, the lack thereof, as she points out the absurd payout for this suicide mission. It's a high-risk, virtually no-win scenario, which naturally means Tyler's the perfect man for the job. The sheer audacity of the mission, trying to extract a kid from a city essentially owned by a crime lord, is enough to make anyone but Tyler gulp. The clack of keys on the tablet is the only sound of their grim planning. Tyler lands in Dhaka, and boy, does it make an impression. It's a sensory overload, the cacophony of a million conversations, horns blaring, the smell of street food mixed with exhaust fumes. He moves through the dense crowds, a ghost in plain sight, his focus unwavering. It's clear he's done this before, slipping into hostile territories like a shark through water. Every face is a potential threat, every shadow a hiding spot for an enemy. He's taking it all in, processing the information, forming his mental map of this urban jungle. You can almost feel the humid air and the jostle of the crowd against you. It's a masterclass in silent reconnaissance, using his impressive array of skills, which I assume includes looking really intense while holding binoculars. Tyler quickly locates the compound where Ovi is being held. It's a grim, unassuming building, but the number of armed guards suggests it's more impenetrable than a teenager's bedroom after they've been told to clean it. He scopes out the perimeter, noting the patrols, the blind spots, the general vibe of don't even think about it, but thinking about it is exactly what Tyler does best. He's planning his entry, mapping out the fastest route to Ovi, mentally preparing for the inevitable firefight. The distant chatter of the guards is the only hint of the impending storm. Alright, showtime. Tyler breaches the compound, a whirlwind of calculated violence. He moves with a predatory grace, taking down guards with brutal efficiency, the thud of bodies hitting the floor the only sound. He reaches Ovi, who's tied up and looking utterly terrified, and cuts him loose. But the element of surprise is a fleeting thing in this line of work. Gunfire erupts, deafening in the confined space. Tyler shoves Ovi to safety, covering him while returning fire. It's a chaotic symphony of muzzle flashes, shouts, and the frantic CLAC cake-lack of spent casings. The air fills with the smell of gunpowder, and the stakes skyrocket from 0 to we're all going to die in about 2 seconds flat. This isn't just an extraction. It's a declaration of war on Amir Asif's turf. With Ovi in tow, Tyler navigates the labyrinthine hallways of the compound. It's a relentless torrent of bullets, ricocheting off walls, kicking up dust and debris. Tyler becomes a human shield, pushing Ovi ahead of him, yelling instructions over the din. He's a machine, reloading and firing, every movement precise and deadly. Ovi, bless his heart, is basically a deer in headlights, but he's trying. Tyler uses doorways, furniture, even the sheer force of his will to keep them moving. The thwack of a bullet hitting the wall just inches from Ovi's head is enough to make anyone flinch. It's a desperate race against time to a small army of angry, heavily armed bad guys. The claustrophobia of the corridors makes the combat even more intense. They finally burst out into the chaotic, vibrant energy of a local market, which, as it turns out, is a terrible place for a firefight, but a great place to cause maximum panic. Tyler doesn't miss a beat, using the throngs of people and overflowing stalls as both cover and a tactical advantage. He's weaving through the crowd, a blur of motion, taking down pursuing guards with brutal efficiency. There's the crunch of fruit underfoot, the clang of metal pots, and the screams of vendors as their wares are scattered. Ovi is just trying to keep up, probably wondering if he should have just stayed home and played video games. The sheer noise of the market, mixed with gunshots and Tyler's grunts, is a sensory assault. You can practically smell the spices and the fear after what feels like an eternity of dodging bullets and angry shopkeepers. Tyler gets Ovi to a temporary safe house, a rundown apartment that's seen better days, probably around the time disco was cool. Tyler doesn't relax for a second, immediately checking windows, doors, and basically anything that could let in trouble. Ovi, meanwhile, is still in shock, trying to process the fact that he just went from regular kid to hostage in a video game in about an hour. It's the first time they've had a moment to breathe, but the air is still thick with tension. The quiet hum of the ancient air conditioner is a stark contrast to the earlier chaos. But you can feel the fragile nature of their peace. Just when you think they might catch a break, the plot thickens faster than instant mashed potatoes. Sayu, Ovi Sr.'s head of security, who was supposed to be helping, shows up like a bad dream and attacks Tyler. Plot twist! Turns out, Sayu was sent by Ovi Sr. to get his son back without paying Tyler's team, thereby saving his own family from Azov's threats. It's a brutal, close-quarters brawl, full of heavy hits and desperate lunges. The unexpected nature of the attack makes it even more vicious. You hear the sickening crunch of fists on bone, the grunt of exertion, and the terrified yelp from Ovi as he witnesses the treachery unfold. Tyler is blindsided, but his instincts kick in immediately. ***, the brawl spills out onto a massively congested bridge. Because why have a simple fight when you can add moving vehicles and oncoming traffic? Tyler and Sayu go at it, a blur of professional assassins trying to outkill each other. It's a symphony of metal on metal, the roar of engines, and the terrified honking of innocent drivers. But wait, there's more! Amir Azov's goons, having apparently found a GPS signal, show up and start shooting at everyone. It's a chaotic free-for-all, a three-way battle for Ovi's life. The bridge becomes a deadly obstacle course, with bullets flying and cars swerving. The metallic screech of tires and the constant thrum of traffic makes the firefight even more disorienting. It's a beautiful mess of pure mayhem. With bullets raining down and Sayu still trying to snag Ovi, Tyler makes a snap decision that involves gravity and a large body of water. He grabs Ovi and they take an unplanned dive off the bridge, plunging into the murky river below. It's a desperate escape, the splash loud in the brief silence after their fall. The relief is momentary as they resurface, still under threat but now with a chance to regroup. The cool embrace of the water is a welcome respite from the scorching concrete, but the threat is far from over. You can hear the distant shouts of their pursuers echoing over the water, a stark reminder of their peril, emerging from the river like to drowned rats. Tyler and Ovi are now deep in the less than picturesque slums of Dhaka. They're soaked, cold, and still very much hunted. Tyler's trying to keep a low profile, which is hard when you're a towering, heavily armed Caucasian man in a sea of locals. He's leading Ovi through an endless maze of alleyways, ramshackle buildings, and dense crowds, every turn a potential ambush. The air is thick with the smells of the city and the constant murmur of 1,000 lives being lived around them. The sense of being constantly watched, of being hunted, is palpable. The scratch of their wet clothes against their skin is a constant, irritating reminder of their predicament. Meanwhile, Amir Azov's top enforcer, a truly delightful gentleman named Gorkhan, is busy making an example of anyone who fails to report Tyler and Ovi's whereabouts. In a scene that proves bad guys don't play nice, Khan executes a young boy who messed up, right in front of everyone. It's a chilling display of power and a stark reminder of the brutality of Azov's regime. The sound of the single gunshot echoes through the streets, silencing the busy market and sending shivers down your spine. It solidifies Khan as a truly despicable villain, raising the stakes even higher for our duo on the run. The cold finality of his actions is truly terrifying. Amidst the frantic escape, we get a brief, heartbreaking glimpse into Tyler's past. He flashes back to memories of his young son, a child he lost, a wound that clearly never healed. It's a quiet moment, but it speaks volumes, explaining why he takes these impossible, suicidal missions. He's not just a mercenary. He's a man running from his grief, seeking some form of atonement or perhaps just a final, meaningful end. The silent anguish on his face is more powerful than any dialogue. The memory is sharp, cutting through the chaos like a knife, reminding him of what he's truly lost. This heavy silence allows us to understand the quiet suffering beneath the hardened exterior. Ovi, still reeling from the day's events, finally opens up to Tyler, confessing his part in the whole mess. He admits to taking money from his father's stash without permission, a seemingly minor rebellion that had catastrophic consequences. He carries a heavy burden of guilt, believing his actions led directly to his kidnapping. It's a poignant moment of vulnerability for the kid, showing that despite his privileged background, he's just as scared by caught in an adult world of violence. Tyler, surprisingly, offers a moment of gruff understanding. The quiet confession hangs in the air, a stark contrast to the relentless action. The sound of Ovi's shaky voice reveals his inner turmoil. We also get a better understanding of Sayu's motivations. He makes a desperate, hushed phone call to his wife, begging her to keep their child safe. It becomes clear that Amir Asif isn't just after Ovi. He's also holding Sayu's family hostage, forcing Sayu to retrieve Ovi himself. This explains his earlier betrayal of Tyler. He's a desperate man trying to save his own loved ones, caught between a rock and an even harder place. The fear in his voice, usually so stoic, is chilling. It adds a tragic layer to his character, turning him from a simple antagonist into a sympathetic figure caught in an impossible situation. The crackle of the phone line only heightens the tension of his desperate plea. And now, ladies and gentlemen, prepare yourselves for the legendary 12-minute one-shot sequence that basically blew everyone's minds. Tyler and Ovi are in a car, roaring through the insane, narrow streets of Dhaka, pursued by a truck full of Asif's goons. It's a masterclass in controlled chaos, with cars weaving through impossible gaps, narrowly avoiding collisions, and generally making every traffic cop in the world have an anxiety attack. The constant rumble of the engine, the squeal of tires, and the sudden bursts of gunfire create an immersive, adrenaline-fueled experience. You can almost feel the G-forces as they take sharp turns. It's a jaw-dropping sequence that just keeps on giving. The car chase eventually culminates in a spectacularly violent crash. But does Tyler stop? Of course not. He's like a Terminator, only with more emotional baggage. He yanks Ovi from the mangled wreckage and the chase immediately transitions to foot. They're sprinting through incredibly dense residential buildings, leaping over rooftops, and sliding down rickety staircases. The breathless exertion is palpable. You hear the pounding of their feet, the gasp for air, and the distant shouts of their pursuers. It's a relentless, suffocating pursuit, a true testament to Tyler's sheer will and Ovi's desperate scramble to keep up. The scraping of their shoes on rough concrete adds a raw, visceral layer to the escape. They duck into an apartment building, probably hoping for a moment of peace, but no such luck. It's basically a hive of angry, armed goons. Tyler launches into a series of incredibly brutal, close-quarters fights in the cramped hallways and stairwells. Every punch lands with a sickening thud, every elbow strike cracks with bone-jarring force. It's gritty, visceral combat, where every inch is fought for. Ovi is trying his best to stay out of the way, probably questioning every decision he's ever made. The sound of broken glass, splintering wood, and desperate shouts fills the confined space. This isn't ballet. It's a desperate fight for survival. Up close and personal, the fight spirals down a narrow, winding stairwell, adding another layer of claustrophobia to the action. Tyler is a force of nature, using gravity and tight spaces to his advantage, kicking, punching, and throwing enemies with reckless abandon. He's dispatching guys from above, below, and probably from another dimension, all while making sure Ovi isn't turned into a human pincushion. The frantic thud of bodies tumbling down steps, mixed with the sharp cracks of gunfire, is intense. You can almost feel the stale, dusty air of the stairwell as the battle rages. It's a masterclass in dynamic action choreography, making you feel every grunt and strain, emerging onto the rooftops. They face another daunting challenge, navigating the perilous gaps between buildings. Tyler, ever the pragmatist, practically throws Ovi across, ensuring the kid's safety before making his own daring leap. It's a ballet of desperation, with clotheslines snagging and tiles crumbling underfoot. Below, the city sprawls, a chaotic tapestry, while snipers may or may not be lining up a shot. The wind whips past them, and the sheer height makes your stomach drop. The scrape of their shoes on the rough concrete and the distant shouts of pursuers add to the tension. The one-shot camera work here is truly breathtaking, immersing you in every jump and scramble, just when you thought the one-shot couldn't get any more intense. They somehow managed to hijack another car. Because in Dhaka, apparently, cars just materialize when you need them to escape a small army. They're back on the streets, another high-speed chase, a blur of motion and near misses. The cacophony of horns, screeching tires, and distant gunfire creates a dizzying experience. Tyler is driving like a man possessed, eyes constantly scanning for threats, while Ovi is probably clinging to the seat for dear life, silently praying for it all to end. It's a testament to the raw energy of the film, relentlessly pushing the limits of action cinema. The rumble of the engine is a constant, grinding soundtrack to their escape. The one-shot sequence reaches its explosive climax with a massive street gunfight. Tyler is practically surrounded, but he's fighting like a cornered lion, using grenades to clear paths and his fists and guns to dispatch anyone who gets too close. It's a brutal, chaotic ballet of violence, with the roar of explosions and the crack of gunfire echoing through the streets. Ovi is practically glued to Tyler's side, witnessing the full, horrifying extent of his protector's ferocity. The sheer scale of the conflict, the number of bad guys, and Tyler's seemingly endless reserves of combat prowess are just staggering. The air is thick with the metallic tang of blood and gunpowder, a truly sensory assault. After that absolute nightmare of a chase, Tyler finds a brief moment to tend to Ovi's injuries. Turns out, Ovi's hand took a pretty nasty hit, not quite severed, but certainly not looking great. Tyler, ever the resourceful mercenary, performs some rough and ready field medicine, making a makeshift bandage to stem the bleeding. It's a quiet, tender moment, a stark contrast to the preceding carnage, showing a glimmer of humanity in Tyler. The kid is probably in shock, but Tyler's gruff actions convey a strange sort of care. The low sounds of Ovi's whimpers and the rustle of the makeshift bandage underscore the gravity of his injury. Just when Tyler and Ovi seem to be completely cornered, who should show up but Sayu? And this time, he's not trying to kill Tyler. In a surprising turn, he starts taking down Azov's men, effectively saving Tyler and Ovi from another ambush. It's a moment of begrudging alliance, to highly lethal individuals now working together for a common goal. The gunfire erupts anew, but this time, Tyler has a formidable, if temporary, ally. The sounds of their combined firepower are devastating, a true force to be reckoned with. The relief is palpable, even if unspoken, as the bad guys suddenly find themselves outmatched. It's a nice little reminder that even villains can be pushed into a heroic corner. With Sayu now on their side, they find a brief moment to catch their breath and, dare I say, strategize. It's a tense huddle, two seasoned killers and a terrified kid, all united by the common enemy of Amir Isif. They quickly realize their best, or perhaps only, option is to get Ovi across the main bridge out of Dhaka, where Nick's team will be waiting. The air is thick with unspoken tension, but also a sense of grim determination. The low murmurs of their plan, punctuated by the occasional clatter from outside, are the only sounds. It's a temporary truce, built on desperation and mutual survival, and you can practically feel the wheels turning in their hardened minds. Meanwhile, Nick Khan and her badass team are doing what they do best, setting up shop. They've got sniper positions locked and loaded, overlooking the massive bridge that represents Ovi's only way out. They're coordinating their efforts, silent professionals preparing for the inevitable carnage. You can practically hear the subtle clicks of their gear being readied, the focused breathing, and the low, precise commands. Nick is all business, her eyes scanning the horizon, ready to unleash hell when the time comes. They're the cavalry, but this isn't going to be a clean extraction. The distant hum of the city acts as an ominous overture to the impending battle. Our unlikely trio, Tyler, Ovi, and Sayu, begin their perilous approach to the bridge. They know it's going to be crawling with Azov's men, a giant, unavoidable meat grinder, but it's their only ticket out of this city. They move through the outer fringes of the bridge's defenses, eyes peeled, every shadow a potential enemy. The tension is almost unbearable. The distant rumble of traffic on the bridge sounds less like cars and more like a monstrous beast waiting to devour them. The quiet rustle of their clothes and the muffled thud of their steps are the only sounds of their cautious advance. They're literally walking into the lion's den with very little to lose, and then all hell breaks loose. The bridge explodes with gunfire. Tyler and Sayu launch their assault, met with a hail of bullets from Asif's heavily armed men. Nick's snipers join the fray, picking off targets from above, adding another layer of brutal efficiency to the chaos. It's a symphony of destruction, the roar of automatic weapons, the crack of sniper rifles, and the constant shouts and explosions. Cars are riddled with bullets, civilians scatter in terror, and the bridge becomes a truly apocalyptic battleground. The metallic ping of bullets hitting guardrails and the shattering of glass are constant, deafening. It's an absolute masterclass in urban warfare. Relentless and unforgiving, Tyler is in full beast mode, a one-man wrecking crew. He's pushing forward through hordes of Asif's men, clearing a path for Ovi with brutal efficiency. Every punch, kick, and gunshot is delivered with purpose. He's not just fighting, he's bulldozing, relentless and unstoppable. The thwack of a silenced rifle, the sharp crack of an assault weapon, the wet thud of a body hitting the pavement. It's a constant barrage of sounds as Tyler carves a bloody path. Ovi, still clinging to hope, is kept close, shielded from the worst of the carnage by Tyler's sheer presence. The raw, guttural sounds of combat are all around them, a suffocating, terrifying embrace in a tragic, yet heroic, act of redemption. Sayu makes the ultimate sacrifice. He realizes they can't all make it, so he deliberately draws fire, creating a diversion for Tyler and Ovi to advance. He battles fiercely, buying them precious seconds, but it's not enough. Gorkhan, that snake, ambushes him, shooting Sayu down in cold blood. The crack of the sniper shot rings out, a grim punctuation mark on Sayu's desperate journey. It's a heartbreaking moment, a character who started as an antagonist finding his noble end. The sudden silence after Sayu falls, amidst the ongoing battle, is truly chilling, a moment of profound loss that resonates deeply. You can practically feel the collective gasp of the audience. Up above, Nick Khan, watching the brutal events unfold, sees Sayu fall. Her face hardens, knowing the stakes have just gone through the roof. She barks orders to her team, intensifying their cover fire. Trying to create an opening for Tyler and Ovi, they're laying down suppressing fire with deadly accuracy, turning parts of the bridge into a no-go zone for Asif's men. The rhythmic thump-thump of their heavy machine guns provides a grim soundtrack to the chaos below. It's a race against time, with every bullet fired and every second ticking away, pushing them closer to either success or utter failure. The precise clicks of their scopes and the deep thud of their weapons underscored their professional resolve. Now it's just Tyler and Ovi against the world, or at least against a really significant chunk of Dhaka's criminal underworld. Tyler is fighting with a raw, primal ferocity, fueled by a mixture of duty, desperation, and maybe a little bit of "I just lost my ally, so now you're all gonna pay." He's absorbing incredible punishment, taking hits that would send a lesser man to the afterlife. But he just keeps going, a truly unstoppable force. The grunts of effort, the sharp cracks of bones, and the desperate shouts of his enemies are all part of the symphony of his struggle. He's bleeding, tired, but his resolve is unbreakable. He's practically a walking, breathing action figure, albeit a very bloody one, with Tyler holding off the bulk of the attackers. Nick is now directly guiding Ovi through their comms, telling him exactly where to go. It's a frantic, desperate relay of information, with Nick's calm, steady voice a lifeline for the terrified kid. Ovi, bless his cotton socks, is trying his best to follow instructions, weaving through the chaos. Tyler is actively drawing fire, creating openings for Ovi to move, knowing full well he's painting a giant target on his own back. The distinct crackle of the comms and the urgency in Nick's voice are chilling, a stark reminder that every second counts. It's a coordinated dance of death, all focused on getting Ovi out alive. Finally, Tyler finds himself face to face with the man behind all the misery, Amir Asif. Asif is looking smug. Surrounded by his remaining goons, thinking he's won. Tyler, battered, bruised, and bleeding from what looks like a dozen different places, is still standing, still radiating a palpable threat. It's a tense, almost silent standoff, the unspoken fury between them thick enough to cut with a knife. The few remaining sounds of the battle die down, replaced by the heavy breathing of Tyler and the smug smirk of Asif. You can almost feel the air crackle with the unspoken words and the desire for retribution hanging heavy in a final epic act of defiance. Tyler takes several more bullets because apparently he's got more holes than a golf course. But even as he's collapsing, he summons one last surge of strength, a desperate, guttural roar, and shoves Amir Asif off the bridge to his watery doom. It's a moment of pure, unadulterated vengeance. Then, Tyler himself finally succumbs to his wounds, plummeting into the murky river below, just like he did earlier with Ovi, only this time, there's no immediate hope of him resurfacing. The splash is almost an afterthought, swallowed by the grim silence that descends over the bridge. You can almost feel the thud as he hits the water, the cold embrace of the river. It's a brutal, heroic, and utterly heartbreaking end to his mission. After that absolute nightmare of a chase, Tyler finds a brief moment to tend to Ovi's injuries. Turns out, Ovi's hand took a pretty nasty hit, not quite severed, but certainly not looking great. Tyler, ever the resourceful mercenary, performs some rough and ready field medicine, making a makeshift bandage to stem the bleeding. It's a quiet, tender moment, a stark contrast to the preceding carnage, showing a glimmer of humanity in Tyler. The kid is probably in shock, but Tyler's gruff actions convey a strange sort of care. The low sounds of Ovi's whimpers and the rustle of the makeshift bandage underscore the gravity of his injury. Just when Tyler and Ovi seem to be completely cornered, who should show up but Sayu? And this time, he's not trying to kill Tyler. In a surprising turn, he starts taking down Azov's men, effectively saving Tyler and Ovi from another ambush. It's a moment of begrudging alliance, two highly lethal individuals now working together for a common goal. The gunfire erupts anew, but this time, Tyler has a formidable, if temporary, ally. The sounds of their combined firepower are devastating, a true force to be reckoned with. The relief is palpable, even if unspoken, as the bad guys suddenly find themselves outmatched. It's a nice little reminder that even villains can be pushed into a heroic corner. With Sayu now on their side, they find a brief moment to catch their breath and, dare I say, strategize. It's a tense huddle, two seasoned killers and a terrified kid, all united by the common enemy of Amir Asif. They quickly realize their best, or perhaps only, option is to get Ovi across the main bridge out of Dhaka, where Nick's team will be waiting. The air is thick with unspoken tension, but also a sense of grim determination. The low murmurs of their plan, punctuated by the occasional clatter from outside, are the only sounds. It's a temporary truce, built on desperation and mutual survival, and you can practically feel the wheels turning in their hardened minds. Meanwhile, Nick Khan and her badass team are doing what they do best, setting up shop. They've got sniper positions locked and loaded, overlooking the massive bridge that represents Ovi's only way out. They're coordinating their efforts, silent professionals preparing for the inevitable carnage. You can practically hear the subtle clicks of their gear being readied, the focused breathing, and the low, precise commands. Nick is all business, her eyes scanning the horizon, ready to unleash hell when the time comes. They're the cavalry, but this isn't going to be a clean extraction. The distant hum of the city acts as an ominous overture to the impending battle. Our unlikely trio, Tyler, Ovi, and Sayu, begin their perilous approach to the bridge. They know it's going to be crawling with Azov's men, a giant, unavoidable meat grinder, but it's their only ticket out of this city. They move through the outer fringes of the bridge's defenses, eyes peeled, every shadow a potential enemy. The tension is almost unbearable. The distant rumble of traffic on the bridge sounds less like cars and more like a monstrous beast waiting to devour them. The quiet rustle of their clothes and the muffled thud of their steps are the only sounds of their cautious advance. They're literally walking into the lion's den with very little to lose, and then all hell breaks loose. The bridge explodes with gunfire. Tyler and Sayu launch their assault, met with a hail of bullets from Asif's heavily armed men. Nick's snipers join the fray, picking off targets from above, adding another layer of brutal efficiency to the chaos. It's a symphony of destruction, the roar of automatic weapons, the crack of sniper rifles, and the constant shouts and explosions. Cars are riddled with bullets, civilians scatter in terror, and the bridge becomes a truly apocalyptic battleground. The metallic ping of bullets hitting guardrails and the shattering of glass are constant, deafening. It's an absolute masterclass in urban warfare. Relentless and unforgiving, Tyler is in full beast mode, a one-man wrecking crew. He's pushing forward through hordes of Asif's men, clearing a path for Ovi with brutal efficiency. Every punch, kick, and gunshot is delivered with purpose. He's not just fighting. He's bulldozing, relentless and unstoppable. The thwack of a silenced rifle, the sharp crack of an assault weapon, the wet thud of a body hitting the pavement. It's a constant barrage of sounds as Tyler carves a bloody path. Ovi, still clinging to hope, is kept close, shielded from the worst of the carnage by Tyler's sheer presence. The raw, guttural sounds of combat are all around them, a suffocating, terrifying embrace in a tragic, yet heroic, act of redemption. Sayu makes the ultimate sacrifice. He realizes they can't all make it, so he deliberately draws fire, creating a diversion for Tyler and Ovi to advance. He battles fiercely, buying them precious seconds, but it's not enough. Gorkhan, that sneak, ambushes him, shooting Sayu down in cold blood. The crack of the sniper shot rings out, a grim punctuation mark on Sayu's desperate journey. It's a heartbreaking moment, a character who started as an antagonist finding his noble end. The sudden silence after Sayu falls, amidst the ongoing battle, is truly chilling, a moment of profound loss that resonates deeply. You can practically feel the collective gasp of the audience. Up above, Nick Khan, watching the brutal events unfold, sees Sayu fall. Her face hardens, knowing the stakes have just gone through the roof. She barks orders to her team, intensifying their cover fire. Trying to create an opening for Tyler and Ovi, they're laying down suppressing fire with deadly accuracy, turning parts of the bridge into a no-go zone for Asif's men. The rhythmic thump-thump of their heavy machine guns provides a grim soundtrack to the chaos below. It's a race against time, with every bullet fired and every second ticking away, pushing them closer to either success or utter failure. The precise clicks of their scopes and the deep thud of their weapons underscored their professional resolve. Now it's just Tyler and Ovi against the world. Or at least against a really significant chunk of Dhaka's criminal underworld. Tyler is fighting with a raw, primal ferocity, fueled by a mixture of duty, desperation, and maybe a little bit of "I just lost my ally, so now you're all gonna pay." He's absorbing incredible punishment, taking hits that would send a lesser man to the afterlife. But he just keeps going, a truly unstoppable force. The grunts of effort, the sharp cracks of bones, and the desperate shouts of his enemies are all part of the symphony of his struggle. He's bleeding, tired, but his resolve is unbreakable. He's practically a walking, breathing action figure, albeit a very bloody one, with Tyler holding off the bulk of the attackers. Nick is now directly guiding Ovi through their comms, telling him exactly where to go. It's a frantic, desperate relay of information, with Nick's calm, steady voice a lifeline for the terrified kid. Ovi, bless his cotton socks, is trying his best to follow instructions, weaving through the chaos. Tyler is actively drawing fire, creating openings for Ovi to move, knowing full well he's painting a giant target on his own back. The distinct crackle of the comms and the urgency in Nick's voice are chilling, a stark reminder that every second counts. It's a coordinated dance of death, all focused on getting Ovi out alive. Finally, Tyler finds himself face to face with the man behind all the misery, Amir Asif. Asif is looking smug, surrounded by his remaining goons, thinking he's won. Tyler, battered, bruised, and bleeding from what looks like a dozen different places, is still standing, still radiating a palpable threat. It's a tense, almost silent standoff, the unspoken fury between them thick enough to cut with a knife. The few remaining sounds of the battle die down, replaced by the heavy breathing of Tyler and the smug smirk of Asif. You can almost feel the air crackle with the unspoken words and the desire for retribution hanging heavy in a final epic act of defiance. Tyler takes several more bullets because apparently he's got more holes than a golf course. But even as he's collapsing, he summons one last surge of strength, a desperate, guttural roar, and shoves Amir Asif off the bridge to his watery doom. It's a moment of pure, unadulterated vengeance. Then, Tyler himself finally succumbs to his wounds, plummeting into the murky river below, just like he did earlier with Ovi, only this time, there's no immediate hope of him resurfacing. The splash is almost an afterthought, swallowed by the grim silence that descends over the bridge. You can almost feel the thud as he hits the water, the cold embrace of the river. It's a brutal, heroic, and utterly heartbreaking end to his mission. Up above, Nick Khan sees it all. She sees Tyler fall, and she also spots Gurkhan, that absolute villain who sniped Sayu, with cold, calculated fury. She takes aim. There's no hesitation, no wasted movement. The crack of her sniper rifle echoes and Khan drops, a justice served with brutal efficiency. It's a satisfying, albeit grim, moment of retribution. The precise walk of the bullet finding its mark is the only sound needed to convey the deadly accuracy and cold revenge. She ensures that those who crossed them and took one of their own won't get away with it. Her face is a mask of grim determination, a true warrior's resolve. Guided by Nick, a terrified but alive Ovi finally reaches the extraction point. He's pulled into a waiting helicopter by Nick and her team. Safe at last from the living nightmare of Dhaka, he looks around, dazed, probably trying to comprehend the sheer scale of the violence he just witnessed. He's out, he's free, but the scars, both physical and emotional, will undoubtedly last a lifetime. The roar of the helicopter blades is a triumphant sound, a symbol of escape and survival, even as it signals Tyler's likely end. The collective sigh of relief from the team, and probably the audience, is almost audible. He's safe, but at what cost? Fast forward several months. Ovi is back in India, back to his life, though undoubtedly changed forever. He's swimming in a beautiful pool, a stark contrast to the muddy river he fell into. He seems okay on the surface, but the thoughtful, almost haunted look in his eyes tells a different story. The traumatic events have left their mark, a subtle weight he now carries. The gentle splash of the water and his steady strokes are a quiet symbol of his attempt to move forward, but the memories are clearly never far from the surface. It's a poignant scene, reminding us that some wounds are too deep to ever truly heal. No matter how much time passes as Ovi surfaces from the pool, he looks up and sees a blurry figure standing in the distance, watching him. Is it a trick of the light? A ghost from his past? Or is it Tyler? The figure, obscured and almost ethereal, offers a glimmer of hope, a suggestion that perhaps our favorite, perpetually bleeding mercenary defied death once again. The ambiguity leaves us with a lingering question, a final whisper of possibility. The gentle ripples on the water are the only disturbance in the air, leaving us to wonder about the fate of our hero. It's a perfect, open-ended final shot that keeps you guessing. What a wild ride, eh? We started with a bang and we ended with a question mark. The journey of these characters, especially Tyler, reminds us that even in the darkest corners of the world, there's a flicker of resilience, a stubborn refusal to give up. The impact of one person's sacrifice, whether seen or unseen, can forever change the trajectory of another's life. It's a testament to the fact that even when things look utterly hopeless, there can always be a flicker of light, a promise of something more. Keep fighting your own battles, whatever they may be, and remember that sometimes the quietest victories are the most profound. If you had a good time with this, a like and a subscribe is a free way to help me keep making more.